was 24, underpaid, and one mistake away from getting fired. That morning, my manager called me into the boardroom. I thought it was over, but it wasn't my manager who was waiting. It was Miranda Hale, 41 years old, newly appointed head of operations. The kind of woman who didn't need to raise her voice to make people quiet. She didn't invite me to sit. She just placed a thin file on the table. My file. Late arrivals. Missed deadlines. Potential termination. My throat went dry. She looked at me and said, "Ethan, I should fire you." I forced myself to speak. "I can fix it. Give me one chance." She paused like she was measuring my entire life in one breath. Then she said, "You will get one chance, but you'll earn it tonight." I blinked. "Tonight?" She leaned forward, calm, controlled. "My ex will be at a charity dinner and I need you there." I stared. "Why me?" Her eyes didn't soften. "Because you're young enough to make him jealous and smart enough to follow instructions." My heart started racing. Then she said the line that shook my brain. "I want you to be my fake boyfriend." I thought I misheard. Before I could respond, she added quietly, dangerously, "And there is one rule. If I say the word demand, you say yes." I walked out of that room feeling like the floor wasn't real. All day, I tried to convince myself it was just business, a weird corporate strategy. Still, at 6 p.m., I found myself standing outside a 5-star hotel in a rented suit, sweaty palms, rehearsing a fake smile. Then Miranda arrived. She stepped out of a black car like the world belonged to her. Black dress, red lipstick, hair tied back, no jewelry except a simple watch. She looked at me once and said, "You look presentable." That was her version of kindness. We entered the ballroom. People turned instantly, because Miranda wasn't the kind of woman you ignore. She leaned toward me and whispered, "Remember the signals." She tapped my wrist once. "Stay close." My pulse jumped. A moment later, her ex appeared. Grant Mercer, mid-40s, rich smile, sharp eyes. He walked over with a younger fiancée on his arm, like a trophy he polished daily. Grant looked at me, then back at Miranda. "Well," he said, amused, "you upgraded to youth." Miranda didn't flinch. "And you downgraded to insecurity." Grant's smile held, but his eyes darkened. Then he leaned close to Miranda and said something low. I didn't catch all of it. Only one word. Adoption. Miranda froze for half a second. Just half. But I felt it, like a crack in glass. Grant looked at me and smiled again. "Does he know your situation?" Miranda's fingers tightened around my arm. She whispered the word, soft, controlled. "Demand." My stomach dropped. She turned to me and said, "Kiss my cheek." I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to, because suddenly I realized this wasn't a joke. This was survival. So I did it. One simple cheek kiss. The room shifted. People noticed. Whispers began. Grant's smile finally slipped. And that's when I understood. I had stepped into a battlefield I didn't understand. After dinner, Miranda pulled me into a quiet hallway near the service elevators. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't crying. But her breath was fast, like she was holding a storm inside. I finally asked, "What is this really about? The adoption?" She stared at the floor for a long moment. Then she said, "My sister died 2 years ago." My chest tightened. "She had a daughter," Miranda continued. 9 years old. That girl is all I have left." I didn't speak. Miranda swallowed. "I've been trying to adopt her, give her a stable home." My mind raced. "And Grant can stop it?" Miranda nodded slowly. "He knows people. He talks to the board. He makes sure they worry about my image. Her voice sharpened. He wants me to look unstable, unfit. I felt anger rise in my throat. Because you left him? Miranda's eyes lifted, hard. Because I dared to leave him. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. Grant thinks I'll crawl back if he threatens what I love most. I stared. So you brought me to look stable? Miranda exhaled. To look untouchable. To look like my life moved on. I nodded slowly, trying to process it. That's when a woman in a silver dress approached us. She smiled like she was friendly, but her eyes were sharp. Miranda, she said sweetly. Cute date. Then she turned to me. Ethan, right? Contract staff. My blood ran cold. Miranda's expression didn't change, but the air turned dangerous. The woman continued. Be careful. People can misunderstand, especially when there's an age gap. Miranda smiled, thin and deadly. Let them misunderstand, she said. The woman left, satisfied. I looked at Miranda. That wasn't random, Miranda whispered. No, that was a warning. I felt my throat tighten. From Grant? Miranda didn't answer, but her silence confirmed everything. Then, as if the universe wanted to test us, Grant appeared at the end of the hallway. He walked toward us slowly, like a man enjoying the ending he wrote. Miranda, he said, I just spoke to the board. Miranda's jaw tightened. Grant looked at me. Kid, you know what you are? I stepped forward. I'm standing with her. Grant laughed. No, you're standing inside my trap. Then he said the sentence that changed everything. I pushed your contract through. I froze. What? Miranda's face drained of color. Grant's eyes glittered. I hired him as a weakness, a rumor, a headline waiting to happen. My stomach flipped. So I wasn't a fake boyfriend. I was bait. Grant leaned closer. All I need is one misunderstanding, and Miranda loses that adoption. Miranda's eyes burned with quiet pain. I looked at her and realized she had been fighting alone for too long. And then I made the dumbest brave decision of my life. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and held it up. Grant blinked. What are you doing? I said, loud and clear. Repeat what you just said, about destroying her adoption. Grant's smile vanished. He reached for my phone. I stepped back. Touch me, and I'll make sure everyone hears your confession. Grant's face hardened. He backed away slowly. Careful, he warned. You'll lose your job, your future. I stared at him. Then I'll lose it doing the right thing. Grant walked away, furious. Miranda leaned against the wall, silent, but her eyes were wet. And then she whispered, almost broken, Demand? I looked at her. What? She breathed, Get me out of here, please. And I said yes. We left the hotel. No photos, no drama, just air. In the car, Miranda didn't speak for a long time. Then she said, I used you. I kept my eyes on the road. You saved my job. Her voice cracked. That's not the point. I parked outside a small diner. Cheap coffee, warm lights, quiet booths. We sat across from each other like two people who had survived the same fire. Miranda stared at her mug. I'm 41. People don't forgive women for wanting anything. I frowned. Wanting what? She lifted her eyes to mine, and for the first time, she looked afraid of her own feelings. Peace, she said, and maybe to be seen. My chest tightened. I spoke carefully. You're seen. She shook her head. Not like a person, like a position. Silence. Then she asked the question I didn't expect. Do you think I'm disgusting? My heart stopped. What? No, because that's what they'll say, she whispered. That I'm too old, that you're too young, that I'm desperate. I leaned forward. They'll say anything to control you. Miranda's eyes flashed. And you? What will you say? I swallowed. I'll say you're the first woman I met who doesn't beg for space, I said. You take it. Her lips trembled slightly. Then my phone buzzed. A message from my mom. Rent is due tomorrow. Reality punched me. Miranda noticed my expression. What is it? I hesitated, then showed her. She stared at the screen for a second, then quietly reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. I stiffened. No, I can't take money. She held it out anyway. This isn't charity. I frowned. Then what is it? Miranda's voice became steady again, her armor returning. It's a second demand, she said. Move to the consulting team, higher pay. No one can fire you easily. My mouth opened. You can do that? I can, she said, because I'm done letting Grant choose who survives around me. I stared at her. And what do you want in return? Miranda looked away for a moment. Then she turned back, eyes sharp. I want you to stay away from me in public. My chest tightened. What? She said it like it hurt her too. If we look close, Grant wins. I nodded slowly, trying not to show the sting. Then Miranda's phone rang, marking her face instantly. Stress. She answered, listened, and her expression darkened. When she hung up, she whispered, Grant filed a complaint. My blood ran cold. Against you? Against me, she said. And against you. I stared. For what? Miranda's voice turned icy. Inappropriate relationship. Abuse of power. He's trying to poison everything. I felt anger rise. We have the recording, I said. We can expose him. Miranda shook her head. If we release it the wrong way, he'll claim you edited it. He'll drag you through mud, too. I clenched my jaw. So, what do we do? Miranda looked at me with a strange softness. We do it clean, she said. No romance, no rumors, just truth. Then she leaned forward and said the sentence that cut me in half. And, Ethan, don't fall for me. I blinked. Too late. Her breath caught. For 1 second, the strong woman disappeared, and I saw the lonely one again. Then she stood up fast. We're leaving, she said. Outside the diner, she stopped under the streetlight, eyes shining but controlled. I can't afford feelings, she whispered. Not now. I wanted to touch her hand, but she stepped back like it was fire. And that's when I realized the biggest enemy wasn't Grant, it was fear. The next morning, Miranda called a formal meeting with HR, legal, and the CEO. No drama, no tears, pure facts. She presented the timeline. I presented the recording, carefully with verification from IT logs. Grant's complaint collapsed like wet paper. And then Miranda did something I didn't expect. She stood in front of everyone and said, I will not be threatened into silence again. Her voice didn't shake. The CEO cleared his throat. Miranda, we'll proceed with your adoption support letter immediately. Miranda's eyes softened for half a second. She nodded. Thank you. After the meeting, she walked out alone like she always did. I followed her to the quiet stairwell. She didn't look at me. I said softly, You won. Miranda whispered, Not yet. I frowned. What do you mean? She turned, eyes wet. Grant lost the board fight, she said, but I still have to win my life. My chest tightened. Then her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Her hands trembled. I watched her face change. Shock, relief, then tears. She lifted her eyes to me and whispered, "She's coming home." Her niece. Approved. For a moment, Miranda couldn't breathe. She covered her mouth like she didn't trust happiness. I stepped closer, careful. "Miranda." She looked at me, and her voice broke. "I don't know how to be loved," she said. "I only know how to manage damage." My throat tightened. "Then we'll go slow," I whispered. "No games, no demands." She nodded, tears falling quietly. Then she took something out of her purse, a small card, my contract transfer. "I moved you," she said. "Different department, no reporting line, no rumors." I stared at her. "You planned it." Miranda gave a small, real smile. "I planned safety," she said. "For both of us." Silence. Then she stepped closer, close enough that I could feel her breath. And she said softly, "I have one last demand." My heart jumped. "What is it?" Her eyes held mine. "Don't disappear," she whispered. I swallowed. "Yes." This time, yes, wasn't fear. It was choice. Miranda didn't kiss me. Instead, she held my hand. First. And for the first time, it wasn't an act. It was two people stepping out of control into something honest.